President Trump has a plan on immigration, a plan that is being shunned by both the left and the right. The plan includes a pathway to citizenship for 1.8 million undocumented immigrants, including the so-called dreamers. Some hardline conservatives view that as amnesty, and a lot of Democrats are upset over what the administration would actually get in return, including money for that border wall and major cuts to legal immigration. This means an end to family-based immigration and green cards for a visa lottery would shift elsewhere. So let's start the conversation. Rob Astorino, former Republican candidate for New York governor, is with me. Good to have you back, sir.
Thanks.
And Simone Sanders, CNN political commentator, is with us as well. So, Rob, just first to you on the surface of it, the notion of protecting 1.8 million undocumented immigrants in exchange for $25 billion in funding for this border wall. We know that this is supposed to go to the floor of the Senate. It's, what's the date? February 5th, according to Mitch McConnell. Is that plan dead on arrival?
I think what the president did here was good. He gave...
Is it dead on arrival?
I don't think it's dead on arrival. I think it's negotiation now. And I think the president has a real good opportunity on Monday to outline his plan in greater depth, or Tuesday, I should say, in the State of the Union, and then start selling it. You know, there's a lot to give and a lot to hate in this, and I think both sides. The amazing part to me is America wants something done. They agree with all sides of the debate. So
I don't know if they agree with all sides. Like some progressives would rather, you know, pigs would fly over a wall, and I think some hardline, conservatives say we don't want 1.8 million.
No, but I think by and large, people agree that they're here. We're talking about the 1.8 million Daca. And by the way, these are not kids anymore. Most of these are adults now, that they should stay here in some way, shape, or form. But when you get into the other stuff, like the visa lottery, which is unique for really the rest of the world, there are things that we can improve here, and I think both sides have to give, and I think they're going to.
Okay, so maybe starting positions.
Yeah.
Simone, the White House calls this a dramatic concession and compromise. Is it?
No, it's kind of laughable. You know, I'm going to echo what the LA Times editorial board wrote today and said this is not an immigration plan. This is a ransom note. This is something that holds the dreamers hostage. It is the White House trying to strong-arm Congress to get a $25 billion fund for a wall that no one can even articulate why they feel as though this draconian-style wall needs to exist. Look, I think that we have to do something about immigration in this country. We have a broken immigration system. I think this plan fails to deal with the nearly 11 million undocumented folks in this country who are currently living in the shadows. So it's not a strong negotiating point. And the White House has yet to even articulate why they feel as though we need to curb legal immigration into this country. They haven't effectively articulated that.
Is this though, is it a positive step? Because all the people during the last round of negotiations were saying, we don't know where the president stands, and all the negotiations are happening on Capitol Hill, and he's just on the phone with some Republicans, and Mitch McConnell's like, I don't even know how he feels about dreamers. And now you have the White House coming out, setting these parameters of this initial negotiation and putting forth a plan. Is that a positive step in your view? Simone.
I mean, I guess it's not. I guess it is nice to know where some of the hardliners in the administration actually stand. It's some kind of starting point, but this is not a real negotiable plan. Again, I absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be calling others hardliners when you got a Marine Corps hairdo.
Is when will some folks in this country, particularly folks on the right, stop looking at legal or undocumented immigration in this country as a threat?
I mean, he's being the hardliner here. So it's, just make sure there's complete amnesty for everyone who's here, and everything else we'll deal with at a different time. I mean, this is an opportunity for everyone to get something and to actually get this immigration debate finalized. We've been talking about this for decades now, and it's coming to a head. We have a real opportunity in this country, but people like you, Simone, can't be sitting there and saying, no, I just want DACA, finalize 1.8 million people.
And by the way, some of the notes are coming in according to this whole conversation with Stephen Miller. Go ahead, Simone. Go ahead, Simone. Respond to that.
But I want to be clear, that's not what I said. No one ever said we just need full amnesty. I and other Democrats fully believe that we have to protect our borders. No one is saying we just want people unfettered coming into our country.
You said undocumented immigrants,
family-based,
which is skipping around illegal, are not threats.
And just frankly, I don't think what the White House has outlined here is that.
Well, first of all, we're pretty unique in the world right now. Our neighbors to North Canada, 65% of their immigrants come in, it's skills-based, it's education-based. We're just the opposite. We're just kind of letting people in, third cousin, twice removed, come on in. You know, we've got to have some sort of structure in this country. You look at the countries all around the world, and it's very different. Australia, whether this is right or wrong, Australia detains everybody, including children, if they don't have a visa and they've overstayed their welcome. They go to detention centers. Now, I'm not advocating that at all, but to make America be the bad guy on this, we've been opening up our borders forever, but everyone agrees there is an immigration problem here. We don't have a handle on it, so now we got to fix it.
Look, I think what makes America special. Look, I think what makes America special and great is the fact that we are in fact a nation of immigrants. Again,
Legal.
I am agreeing that
Legal.
we need reforms for our immigration
Legal.
policy. But these draconian policies
Legal.
paint
Draconian.
undocumented immigrants, people that enter to this country
You
as
know, that's not even the right context. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Americans is not how we should be engaging in this debate, in this conversation. We have to remember these are real people. Dreamers are real people. Every single day Congress refuses to act on Dreamers. 122
And it's typical Democrat talking point. What we should be doing to the rest of us and all of you listening, what you should,
Let me jump in because there's a
you
whole
can't
other piece
have,
of this, which is if
the
you've read about
opportunity to have a
Miller
differing
had
opinion.
Hardline, immigration groups, they were furious.
What
with
we should
the
be
president,
doing.
what he said the
Other
other night
Democrats.
about, all right,
This is what we should be doing. Need to be doing.
And we're going to have a pathway to citizenship. You had the Breitbart headline, calling it amnesty.
Read the tweet I sent
but
after her.
consider the Republicans that the White House has been consulting
After,
building this
uploading
framework.
this.
Here's what the president said.
I think Cotton
And this,
and Purdue,
it ain't an ethnic thing.
Goodlatte,
There are
and
plenty
the
of
people that
African
I've
American
been dealing
Republican
with,
women, and
Cornyn,
they sound,
so many
I'm just going to say
these are
it,
great people. These
more
are people
rational.
that really have shifted a lot. They've really shifted a lot, and I think they're willing to shift more, and so am I.
So it's a party
Do you
thing,
think
not an
more
ethnic.
hardliners would be willing to shift the way that the president is suggesting?
If everyone gets something, I mean, the president put $25 billion. You think they'll settle for 15? Yeah, and then Schumer can say we got a concession. And that's what it's going to take to get this done. Yes, I agree with Simone. We are a very special country. So special that everyone's taking advantage of it because they realize the system is broken. It's not that we don't want immigrants. We are a country built on immigrants. My family came from somewhere else, just like everybody else. But there are laws that need to be abided. There are borders that need to be secured. And we as a nation have to respect that. If we don't, we're not a nation.
Okay, you got the last word, Rob Astorino. Thank you so much. A new report about Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign raising some eyebrows. A source tells CNN that Clinton decided not to fire a senior advisor who had been accused of sexual harassment. A female campaign staffer accused Clinton's then faith advisor, his name is Burns Strider, of inappropriate touching and sending her suggested
Her name's
emails.
her kid, Burns.
Strider was sent to counseling while this younger
Burns
was reassigned. CNN obtained this statement from the law firm who represented Clinton in her 2008 campaign, which I'll just read a piece of it. When matters arose, they were reviewed in accordance with these policies and appropriate action was taken. With me now, Erin Gloria Ryan. She is the senior editor at the Daily Beast. Also here, CNN political commentators Tara Setmayer and Van Jones. Mr. Jones, to you first, sir. On Hillary Clinton, the question is, why didn't she, if this is all true, and he was ultimately fired in a different situation some years later, why didn't she do more, and what does she need to say about it now?
Well, I mean, if you ever needed proof that this is a bipartisan issue, that it's not about Republicans, it's not about Democrats, it's not about the Hollywood industry, it's not about, that this is a bipartisan, ubiquitous problem, here you have it.
Yeah.
And I thought what was very interesting is that they pointed to their policies. And that's part of the problem. It turns out these policies have been inadequate for a very long time. And so you can't hide behind policies that, maybe, worked for you 10 years ago and say, see, I was doing, that's exactly the whole point, is that the policies and the practices that we've had, not just in politics, but throughout society, are not good enough. She's going to have to come out and address it.
She's going to have to come out and address it. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that this is probably a blow to a lot of people who thought that Hillary Clinton is this stalwart of feminism and women's empowerment. And here she had a female campaign manager who was approached with this campaign worker who was a faith advisor.
Faith advisor, which is the scripture every morning.
what kind of faith was he promoting if he's over here as a sexual harasser and he was married at the time? They brought this accusation. It was pretty credible. So they reassign the worker and keep him, and that was at Hillary Clinton's behest. I think that that's really pretty hypocritical. And if she continues to stay silent, that just, I think, is even more disappointing, I'm sure, for her supporters. Obviously, I'm not a Hillary supporter, but I just find the irony of this is not lost, considering the position she took on Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too movement, and yet here it happened in her own campaign, and she personally allowed him to stay. And just
I want to move on and talk to you about what Nikki Haley, how she has come to talk about these rumors. Let me give you the backstory. This is the U.S. ambassador to the UN. She's disputing and condemning a rumor that she had or is having an affair with the president. This all started with the controversial Fire and Fury book. I see you shaking your head, I know. So let me just play this. She is speaking with Politico's Women Rule podcast. Eliana Johnson, here she is.
It is absolutely not true. It is highly offensive. And it's disgusting. At every point in my life, I've noticed that if you speak your mind and you're strong about it, and you say what you believe, there is a small percentage of people that resent that. And the way they deal with it is to try and throw arrows, lies or not, to diminish you.
I mean, the rumor isn't the story, it's the way in which the ambassador so boldly said boom, boom to the rumor to try to quash it. What did you make of how bold she was?
Well, this isn't the first time that Nikki Haley has had to quash rumors of having an affair that were also totally unfairly leveled against her and really unfair and awful and sexist. In 2010, she offered to resign from being governor of South Carolina if those rumors proved true. Of course they didn't prove true, but she has had practice coming up swinging, and she did. And I'm really glad she did, because she's right. Women are oftentimes targeted, if they reach a certain level of power, by the one thing that women are still affected by more than men in the most dramatic way, which is their sexuality, their sex, their gender. So I'm glad that she came out. I think, and, to echo something Van said earlier, sexism doesn't see ideology, and having, conservative or liberal ideology doesn't inoculate you from having sexist viewpoints or being able to make sexist accusations. It also doesn't mean that you can't be somebody who stands up and is really tough and great against sexism. And Nikki Haley did something great today.
I totally agree. And I want to talk more. Let me just read a little bit more from Nikki Haley. She said there's a small percentage of people that resent that, and the way they deal with it is to try and throw arrows, lies or not, to diminish you. I mean, to me, it's like here you had the successful, attractive woman, and all of a sudden people, detractors, the criticism is, well, she must have with the president to get to where she is today.
Right.
Such BS.
But I'm sure that, I'm sure we've all experienced that here. We're women who have succeeded in industries that have a lot of men who are in power. And I
wonder what she did.
Yeah, look what she did. What did she do? And there's something so uniquely soul-crushing about that. For someone to assume that you don't have talent enough on your own to make it. And Nikki Haley obviously does. And I'm glad that she attacked it.
I have to say that I like Nikki Haley, and she's been a rising star in the GOP for some time, and I was actually in South Carolina for the primary when she was on stage with Marco Rubio, and it was Marco Rubio, Tim Scott, and Nikki Haley, and I stood in that room very proudly looking at that, saying to myself, now that's the future of the Republican Party, until Donald Trump beat Marco Rubio by 10 points in the primary and crushed my dreams, and here we are today. But anyway, so I'm glad to see. I was a little inoculated from some of the other chaos that's been going on in this administration, and I wonder if it's because she has come out with different positions than the president at times, which we all know doesn't go over very well. But with her, he seems to have laid off of her, and I wonder it's because he knows that he has to be careful with his image with women because he's got problems in other areas. So I don't think he wants to attack her, but she's doing a great job.
As the man on the panel, dude, it is 2018.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Well, I mean, first of all, the idea that the one person who's classing up the joint, I mean, if she's classing up the entire Trump administration by, exponential percentage points, that she's the one that you're going to go after and say that she doesn't have any class, it's just completely horrible. And this is part of where we are in this moment. People want to figure out some way to pull people down as crabs in the barrel. That's, in some ways, it's a part of the game. But they go after women in a particular way. You must be using your looks, using your weird seductive wiles to get your way. It's like, listen, guys, the Trump administration is luckier than they deserve to have her there. She's going to be a star before, during, and after this, and she's handling it with the kind of class we expect from her.
Incredible.